Good afternoon, everyone. This is Daniel Schlegel, Axiom Human Resource Solutions, and today we're going to be looking at the Attestation module in the Workforce Ready system. This module is of particular interest to our California clients as it can help reduce risk to labor laws and also streamline compliance. As usual, this session will be uploaded to our YouTube channel before the end of the week and will be able to be viewed anytime after that. To find our channel, you can search YouTube for Axiom HRS or click on the YouTube icon in any Axiom employee's email signature. If you have any questions, please type them into the GoToMeetings built-in chat feature and I will answer them at the end of the session. All right, let's get started. Okay, so the very first thing that we're actually going to take a look at here is how the attestation module is set up in the system. So to actually have the attestation module for your system, it needs to be turned on our end. So you would need to let us know that you're interested in it, and then we can turn it on. So the attestation, the actual setup for the attestation module is done as a profile. So just like, your timesheets, your pay calculations, your accruals, attestation is set up as a profile that can then be assigned to employees as needed. The actual setup is done here under company setups, profiles, policies, and attestation. So you'll see that I have two profiles set up currently. One is single question and one is two questions. So we will start by taking a look here at the single question profile, because I really just want to take a look at how these are set up. So really there's not much here. There really isn't too much going on with the profile itself. Basically what you do is you just give it a name, you make sure it's active, and then you decide whether you want the employee to be prompted at the end of their shift, or actually, or when they submit their timesheet at the end of the pay period. So if we look at end of the shift, this is where you actually assign the workflow, and we'll get to that here in a minute. And then you tell the system that this should execute when the employee punches out usually we say 3 hours before or 3 hours after their actual scheduled out time. So basically, in order for the end of shift prompt to work, you actually have to have schedules assigned to the employee, or else, the system won't know what to look for. But basically, so say you have an employee who is scheduled to be done at 5 o'clock that day. We say 3 hours before, 3 hours after. That means that they have a window there of anywhere from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock. When they punch out, they're going to be prompted to do the attestation for that day. And then submit timesheet. So this one's kind of, pretty self-explanatory. When the employee actually submits their timesheet, and that's an important part, the employee has to submit their timesheet themselves. That will then prompt them to complete the attestation workflow. So let's actually, from our profile screen here, let's jump into the workflows and see what those actually look like. So they're right here at the top of our list, and like I said, we have the two. We have a single question and we have two questions. We're going to look at the single question first. So here's what our workflow looks like. So once the employee, either clocks out at the end of their shift or submits their timesheet, that is when the workflow starts. So that's on created right here. So in this single question workflow, the employee will then be asked one question. They're going to be asked to confirm that their time is accurate and that they have taken all required meal and rest breaks. At least that's what our question is going to say in our demo company here. This question, it can be, you can really put anything in there that you would like. Underneath that, we have Some additional configuration. When the employee is shown this question, they can also be shown a summary of their punches, either for the day or for the pay period. They can choose a reason code, and then they can also be prompted to enter notes. Then after that, they will choose, in this case, either yes or no, that they have, that their time is accurate and they took all needed breaks. So yes, no. If they say yes, that's all great. That will actually end the workflow. That's all they need to do. If they say no, in this case, we're going to generate an email to the employee saying, hey, we saw that, you said no on your workflow to the attestation question. So here is a form that you need to fill out and return to your manager or your supervisor. Now, at the same time, just as a backup, we're also going to send that exact same email to the employee's manager or supervisor saying, hey, your employee such and such responded no to the attestation question. They were sent this form. However, if they don't fill it out, then maybe you can bring it to their attention, get them to fill it out for you. After that email is sent to their manager, then again, that's the end of the workflow. Now let's take a look at our 2-question workflow, just to kind of give you an idea of what else can kind of be done with this workflow. So that our first example was a pretty simple one. In our 2-question workflow, we have 2 different things going on. We have our original question, where the employee again says either yes or no to having taken all required meal and rest breaks. Now this time, however, if they say no, a second question is going to populate for them asking, did you specifically miss a meal break or a rest break? So this time, where it used to say yes, it's going to say meal break, and where it used to say no, it's going to say rest break. So we can actually customize the label shown on the buttons for the employee to choose, one or the other. And we're doing it this time, or doing it this way this time, because we have custom forms created for each type. So a meal break if a missed meal break has its own custom form, missed rest break has its own custom form. So the rest of the workflow is just the same as the as the single question workflow. If they say missed meal, it'll kick off emails to the employee and the employee supervisor that contain that specific missed meal break form. If they click on rest break, it will kick off emails again to the employee and the employee supervisor with the specific missed rest break form. And after those emails are sent out, then again, the workflow will end. At this time, I would like to take a look at how those employee prompts look in the system. We'll actually take a look at both the single question prompt and the 2 questions. I'm going to go ahead and close here. We'll log into my example employee who has the single question profile assigned. We'll go to the current timesheet. Okay, this one's already been submitted or approved, it looks like. So let's go to the next timesheet. We're actually going to go ahead and submit this next timesheet. Not really sure where my timesheet went. So sorry for the delay here, but it seems to have submitted the timesheet, but we didn't get the prompt. So I'm not really sure why that occurred in this case. So let me do some quick troubleshooting on my other screen here. Maybe. Okay. So it actually showed up in my to-do items here. Not sure why it didn't pop up for me right away. But as we can see here, we have two now, one for the current pay period, one for the next pay period. This is the one I actually just submitted. So in this case, for our single question, we can see that here's the, we have that they can add a reason. So in this case, we don't have the second question asking if they missed a meal or a rest break, so they can actually choose which one they missed if they missed one. That's an example of how you can add the reasons. So in this case, we can say, maybe for this week, yes, I took them all. Maybe for this week, we can say, no, I didn't. So at that point, the ones that say no, those emails would then be kicked off to the employee and to the employee supervisor. Now, if we log in as a different employee who has the two questions, all right, so we'll submit this for Casey. Okay, so here's what I was expecting for my previous employee. Still not real sure why the prompt didn't come up, but here's the prompt. I confirm my time is accurate. I'm taking all required meal and rest breaks. So in this case, let's just say no, because this is our two question one, right? So then, Of course, this one decides it's going to be difficult as well. Let's try one more time. Yeah, so I don't know why this isn't showing both of our questions. Well, you gotta love technology sometime. Both questions should pop up on the screen like that. Just like for the first example, the only question should have popped up. I'm really not sure why these questions aren't currently popping up. I've gotten it to work in the past before, not really sure why it's not working now. Anyway, so that's how it works on the web. You can also get that if you have the InTouch time clocks. The same prompts can actually show up on the InTouch time clocks when an employee, again, is either punching out at the end of the shift, or if they are submitting, the InTouch time clocks allow employees to submit their timesheets through the time clock itself. So again, if you're doing it at the end of the pay period, that's also an option as well. Only real difference being that the InTouch question can only be a specific amount of characters, which I believe is 150. I was looking for that earlier and could not confirm that, but I think I remember from the last attestation setup that I did, it was 150 characters was the maximum that can be shown on the InTouch time clock screen. So that question is only limited to 150 characters. If you don't have any time clocks, then you're just really limited to whatever you kind of want to put in there. All right, so the last thing that I kind of wanted to take a look at here for the attestation module are the reports that you can also, that come with the module itself that are specific to the attestation information. And really, you're going to find these reports in two different places. You're going to find them under My Reports, Time and Labor, Attestation, and then you have Questions and Answers, the Daily Attestation Summary, and Timesheet Attestation Summary. So Questions and Answers will basically just show you all the information. So we have your employees, the categories, so whether it's submit timesheet or whether it's at the end of the shift, the name of the question, which actually comes from the workflow, the question itself that they were answering, the response, if they have a reason, it'll be shown there. Whether that workflow was completed or not, any notes that might be added to that as well. We also have the daily summary, which would be, showing whether, you can have a calendar range here, but it'll show you how many prompts were shown to each employee, how many they answered, in the affirmative, the percentage in the affirmative, number in the negative, percentage in the negative, and how many are unanswered that they still have to do. Finally, we have our timesheet attestation summary. So again, this would be, and really these two reports are the same. The only difference being that the timesheet one would be if you're having, having the timesheet submitted, or having the attestation prompt come up when the timesheets are submitted. And then, the daily one being if it's at the end of the shift. So this would be at the end of the shift information. This would be at the end of the pay period when the employee submits the timesheet. Finally, the other one that we have is actually an audit report. So if we come all the way through system, audit trail, time and attendance, and attestation, we have two here. We have workflow, where we can actually take a look at just some audit information, so we can see the category again was submit timesheet. We can see when that was created. We can see the status of the workflow and the state, and also the workflow name. And we can all the way over here on the far left, we can actually view the workflow, so we can see, here's when it was created. The employee answered to the negative. So the email was sent out to both the employee and the employee's manager. It's actually a good time. Let me take a look here and see why this completed for Casey. Oh, okay. So maybe it helps when, let's actually go and take a look at Casey. We still have a couple of minutes left. Okay, so here you can actually see under the profiles box in Casey's employee information, we have this attestation field added. So it says 2 questions, but it's only, the workflow isn't working correctly. Maybe I actually have the workflow set up incorrectly for 2 questions. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay, so see, there you go. It helps to have the proper workflow added to the, to the profile. So now, if we go back in as Casey, this should make all the difference in the world. And she'll just have, a few weeks of timesheets submitted beforehand, no big deal. Okay, so let's find our next one. Submitted. Okay, so we'll go ahead. We'll submit this one for approval. Gotta say no to our first question here. And then here's our second question. Was it a meal or rest break that was not taken? So in this case down here, we see the buttons change. We can choose meal break or we can choose rest break. In this case, we'll just say meal break. And then that will kick off the email to Casey and her supervisor with the specific missed meal break form. Okay, so glad I got that figured out, and so that you could see what the multi-question workflow looked like. We're actually not really, you can have more than 2 questions if you would like. 2 is just, I just wanted to kind of show, that you can have multiple, so I chose 2, but you can really have as many as you would like in the workflow. You really don't want to have it get probably too complicated, or else the employee is going to be sitting there trying to, especially if they're doing it every day. If they're clocking out at the end of the day and they have to answer 10 questions before they get to go home, I don't know how much they would like that. But as you can see, if you have 2 questions, it really doesn't take that long to do. All right, so that is the pretty much the end of the training. That's everything that I had planned to show. Looks like we still have about 5 more minutes scheduled here. So if anyone has any questions, I will take those now. Again, if you do, just go ahead and type those into the chat feature here and go to meeting. Otherwise, we will just end the session there. Okay, I don't see anything coming in. So we'll just go ahead and end the session here. I thank you all for your time today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.